Good afternoon, my pedigree chums, and welcome to Heidelberg. We're here at the World Ultimate Under-24 Championships in the men's division here. Liam Grant alongside Gigi Morrison. Both these teams in Pool B, both losing a game early on. Gigi, you got to see some of those results?
Yeah, I got to see a few of the results. I feel like both of these teams are going to want to fight for this win. It's definitely quite important that they get these wins early on as they go into the power pools. So I'm not entirely sure what to expect from this, but it's going to be a fun game nevertheless. Like, we haven't seen that much from a Russian junior squad. So yeah, great game to start.
This is the first time that Russia have sent a men's team to the Under-24 Championship. Yeah, so Russia losing to Belgium 15-3 in their opening game. Ireland losing 15-6, which was streamed earlier today. If you want to go check that one out, I believe there was some issues with the stream, but I do believe we'll be back up the full game at some stage during this tournament. Yeah, but this is a make or break game for these teams. There's actually straight quarterfinals from the group stages in this men's division. So it is, if you finish top four, you're going straight into the quarters. With a loss already for both these teams, this is almost like a pre-quarter for them. As far as I'm concerned, you lose this game, you're probably out of contention. So a big moment for both these squads. Yeah, Russia actually losing to Belgium, who were bottom seed in this tournament.
Yeah, there were some interesting decisions made for this tournament with regards to the seeding. There could be some conspiracy theories behind it, but other than that, we're just going to figure out what's happening. But yeah, Belgium were highly underseeded, especially coming off of the back of some other the previous junior tournaments where they didn't get third place. That's something we're not going to go into because we've got a great match coming up now.
Yeah, well, in World Juniors, they were incorrectly seeded, Belgium. Should have been seeded 9th, we're seeded 16th. It is based off rankings at the previous tournament. So I believe Ireland finished 10th in Perth, so they take the 10th seed. Russia did not participate, so it goes to their overall world ranking. And it's Ireland starting on offense. Green Connolly, a standout for the Irish juniors in the past. We see a zone straight away from the Russians. An arrowhead zone, quite similar to what the Irish boys had to play against, as they look to pop it quickly around the Russians. Darty. And now a big shot across the field to the man wearing a sun hoodie. It is actually a little bit nippy here in Heidelberg at the moment, when you consider how hot it's been in Central Europe. Jack McNamara, who had a fantastic game against Canada earlier on, scored to Callahan, and now it's Ireland looking to get their first goal. It's Sam Murphy, front of the end zone. And he's called not in and throws a flick straight away, and that one's going to be called a goal, so he gets the assist instead to Paul McDonough.
Yeah, what a great way to answer to that contested end call, just with a cheeky little high release flick. That seems like a very Irish way to sort things out when it comes to offense. Liam, you know a few of these players, or at least are aware of them, being from Potato Land yourself. Exactly,
as we like to call the motherland. You see Ireland get their first goal against Mother Russia. Yeah, Paul McDonough getting it after Sam Murphy called not in. Paul McDonough dropped a pull in the game this morning and also got hand blocked in the very first pass of the game. So he had a little rough start this morning, but doing a little better this afternoon. But yeah, actually, I've played a very few of these players, most of them coming from Ranelagh XBI, quite a lot coming from St. Fintan's School in Sutton. So I'm usually beating these guys in the field. That's how I mostly remember them.
And this Russian squad, in comparison, even physically, you can see on the line, this Russian O-line is they're quite even in terms of height, but compared to the Irish guys, they are probably significantly shorter. That may or may not come to their advantage, but this is them starting out on offense now.
7 off. I see a match defense from Ireland. Behind the stall count, nice inside pass to open up the field to Nesterov. Back to Semenov. Has played 3 cycles with the Russian U team. They have definitely participated at European Youth and World Youth Championships in the past. And in the European Championships just last week in Hungary, Russia doing extremely well at that event, winning bronze medal in all divisions. I've definitely underestimated the Russians in the past. See the first turnover of the game. Colin White picks up, looks for the end zone straight away to Tyg Bogan. Can he get there? Oh, lays out, cannot reel that one in. So Russia get to this back after a quick turn from Ireland, and they jack it deep straight away. 2 Irish lads there, oh. And that might be a call on the field. Looks like it's going to be strip called.
Yeah, that was something that when we were talking to the Irish teams beforehand, they know that this Russian team does want to send the disc quite a lot. So they feel there's probably a lot of skill with regards to their throwing, and then trust in the receivers to be able to take down these high discs. And when it comes to this relatively tall Irish squad, they're going to have to work really hard in taking these discs down.
Yeah, there's number 99, Pavel Kelsev. Bit of discussion going on with his strip. It looks like it's contested, so it's going to go back to the front corner of the end zone. Jutkovic, who actually has lived most of his life in the US, playing with Boston Dig, top team from the East Coast in the US. He's not afraid to lash it. Jutkovic. Deciding to work the unders this time. Nesterov. Kelsev. Seemingly the tallest man on the field and probably the Russian roster. Just working the unders for now, Russia. It's a very spread out vertical stack. maybe more of a horizontal. Now they shoot across the field and well intercepted by James O'Donovan, who again shoots the end zone. This time their first pass offense works and they get the first goal of the game, and it's a break. Or first break of the game.
Yeah, Russia's struggling a little bit with, I'd say, a combination of the conditions at the moment. It's gotten significantly more blustery compared to this morning, so it's making discs fly a little bit more different. Plus the Irish defense is just really intelligent. They know when to move through and run through to the disc. They're kind of baiting that underpass, and that's where they had that chance to just run through, grab the D, and take every single opportunity that they can to convert.
James Jambo O'Donovan with the assist to Philip Johnston. So I think the Irish had time to scout this Russian team against the Belgians, and they noticed like to huck a lot. So I think Ireland did well just to contain that deep game from Russia and force a few more passes than they usually like, and they're able to get that turnover, and they're obviously going for that quick transition D-line offense. So now Russia will have to work it upwind. Wind kind of going from right to left, maybe coming from behind the camera, crossfield more so. And this disc will be bricked. It's a horizontal stack from the Russians. See Ireland bracketing, not playing an honest defense downfield, forcing Russia to swing for the first pass at least. Just working through the handlers. Deep shot is there. That is a knife of a flick hook, and it's on the money just outside the end zone. Thinks about popping in, but goes for the reset. Ireland try to recover the defense, but Russia get their first goal of the game, and that is a fantastic goal. Bevza.
Yeah, that American experience really shows from that shot. It floats it out nicely just in front of the receiver, completely moving out of the way of the defender, and then they were just able to pop it right into the end zone for the first Russian score.
Yeah, Yudkovich, a standout on this Russian national team. You can see they have him firing those flick hooks. Yeah, Russian Ultimate really on the rise. The Russian women's team getting a bronze medal. European Ultimate Championships, thought they could have gone maybe a step further. The Russian men, surprisingly, a lot of people picking up a bronze medal as well. Had a hotly contested game against Austria. That was also filmed. You can check that out. I think it's free on YouTube. Yeah, learning more and more about the stars of Russian Ultimate. I think a guy we like to call Beef Kudobin is one of my favorite players out of Russia. I think he's 23 years old, so just I think a tad bit too old to participate with his team, but he had an unbelievable game for Russia at the European Ultimate Championships. I actually offered him a beer if he did a Russian dance, and he scored first goal of the game against GB and did a nice little Russian jig.
Oh yes, I remember seeing that on the stream. That was quite enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I think he danced almost professionally, traditional Russian dancing. We'll see if the Irish boys can do a jig of their own as they fire at the end zone. Andrew Cleary reads that one well in the bread basket. The man who played for the Irish men's team in Hungary as well, on the O-line.
Yeah, beautiful two-pass offense. They're not trying to overcomplicate things. They know exactly what each player does well, and yeah, keeping it simple. They know that this Russian defense, whilst it's going to be difficult to move it through, they trust in each other to just be able to get the disc where exactly pinpoint where they want it.
So a lot of these Irish lads enjoy watching Love Island. Cleary said his favorite contestant was Tommy. Can't say I've ever seen the show Love Island. Have you watched it, Gigi?
Oh, I feel ashamed in saying this, but I've recently moved in. Well, I'm not ashamed to say that I've recently moved in with some lovely new housemates. I love my housemates, but they have, the only unfortunate downside is that they have gotten me into Love Island. So I do know who you're talking about now.
Tell us a little about Tommy. Good character on the show?
I'd say he's one of the favorite characters, probably. He's got a good relationship going.
That's the Russians trying to take down the Islanders in this men's Pool B clash. Jutkovic fires deep again. A pick is called. Looks like it will be retracted. That is a turnover from the Russians. This O-line seems to have one recipe so far, the Russians.
Yeah, luzz it deep, which can work sometimes, but again, this wind has picked up a fair bit, so it's probably sat out a little bit further than they would have wanted to, than they might have expected it to.
O'Donovan looking for wide on the reset. Puts a big one out to duty, and it's Tyg Bogan comes flying in. Looks like a foul is being called.
The Tyg just seemed to kind of come out of nowhere from that, but he, if anything, he read that play pretty well. He knew that the disc was going to sit up, and he's a very tall person. So him being able to think, right, yep, this is mine. I'm tall enough for this. I'm going to get it. It was a very good read.
Yeah, I think he just got to that space before Jutkovic. Looking on the reset now, getting high in the stall count, goes for the cheeky lefty, doesn't work out. Now they shoot straight to end zone, and that's going to be an easy goal for Russia. Score now 3-2 to Ireland.
They're capitalizing on one of the few mistakes that Ireland have made so far in this game. It was pretty much on a platter for them, just open side throw. Nice little backhand into the front corners. Really simple frisbee.
Yeah, Tyg Bogan couldn't get the reset. Recently moved to Ranelagh. I think that's Ranelagh Ultimate showcase there. Would have done it better if he was still a Pelt man.
You sound a bit salty, Liam.
He's not the first Irishman to make the transition from Irish champions Pelt to not Irish champions Ranelagh, team that has never qualified for UCF. But someone who has qualified for UCF is one of their coaches, Owen Lawler, who played with Rebel and got a bronze medal in the mixed division last year in Wrocław. As you see, Bevza with the pull for Russia, just outside the break mark. McDonough to Jack McNamara, who said he will apply to be on Love Island. So he wants to be a future contestant. Cleary just popping around this Russian zone for the moment. Almost playing with four handlers there. There's not too many people downfield. As you see, 5 or 6 of the Irish lads in tight space around the disc. Taking lots of little short passes, the Irish. Haven't looked to throw over as they're going upwind now. The travel being called.
Yeah, this Russian defense looks I would say it's probably more FSU-like than Arrowhead, because they've got the 3 hand-load defensive marks at the front with central mullet trying to kind of get in the way, being really aggressive on anyone cutting into this handler cup with 2 wings and then a deep defender as well.
I'm interested if you call the mid person there a mullet.
Have you not heard that before? Oh, I've always called it a mullet.
Is that referencing the haircut, or is there what's the reference there, the mullet?
To be perfectly honest, I have no idea. I've just always heard it referenced to as the mullet, or even you can call it a hat. It depends on your kind of nomenclature of zone defense.
I think in Ireland we call it a rove. Somebody roving around in the middle.
Oh.
And a quick pop pass from Ireland. They take small little passes to work the whole way up the field, extending the lead now to 4-2. I think there's a lot of big matchups in this group stage. I think we saw Belgium beat Russia earlier on today. I think maybe the Ireland-Belgium game could be a game for that last quarterfinal spot. You know, if they can get this win against Russia. There's also Australia in the mix, New Zealand.
Yeah, we saw the Australia-New Zealand game this morning, which was super intense. Like they were two teams that have come across each other before already in the season. You can watch that game back on fan seat. Australia did come out on top. They managed to capitalize on a few mistakes that New Zealand were eventually making, but it was a very close game, and I think New Zealand should be very proud of their result there.
This ball just drifts out of bounds, so they'll get it on the brick mark again. It is Ilya Jutkovic, the focal point of this Russian offense. Again, the Irish downfield, kind of bracketing, and three players trying to take away the others. Callahan hanging out deep, minding the house. And just forces Russia to take a few swings as the first passes. Takes away that early deep shot. Yeah, it's definitely a zone look. I think it is that FSU. We talked about something Irish teams love to do. As Russia came in on the brick mark, they've worked back the whole way pretty much into their own end zone. They're now in their own end zone. And now they try to hammer over the top, and that is a beautiful shot. And now back up to where they initially began, right on the brick mark. Let's see if they go for that overhead again to try and open up the field. And there's every second pass, Jutkovic.
Yeah, Russia seem to be utilizing the same kind of three players. They're using Jutkovic, Semenov, and Glavatsky really, really often. They're very trusting in their handlers.
Now it. Semenov taking a leaf out of the Irish book now. Lots of quick, short passes to get through the zone. Make the Irish work for it. Now they stretch it out to Nestorov. Now at the opposition brick mark. Good patience here from the Russians. Again, faking those hammers to try and make the people move downfield. Now they actually do send a sugar-coated hammer across the field. Beautiful goal.
Not necessarily the nicest execution of a hammer, but when you've got the receiver on that break side, you might as well go for it. Jutkovic had the wind in his favor. The tall receiver on the other side, so even if it did rise, they had the height for it, and it works. It works really nicely.
Yeah, you see Russia had two hammers in that point, coming from the near side to the far side, going kind of downwind, and it's much easier to execute it there. So that's one of the weaknesses in this zone. As you see him point and set up that hammer cut. Nothing the Irish defense can do about that. Pavel Kelsev getting the goal. Alexei Sulimov, the Russian coach out here. And I think the greatest victory probably for the nation of Russia was the women's beach team 2017. You were calling that final, Gigi.
Yes, I was. That was, to this day, it's still the most exciting game of Ultimate I feel like I've ever watched, and I feel very privileged to have been able to call that game because it was so good. And you can watch that back on YouTube for free.
You hear the beautiful tones. I think it was Evan Lepler and Gigi Morrison on the call. Yeah, was jealous of you, Gigi, getting to call that one. There's now Ireland on offense. A bit more pressure now from the Russians. I see a pick is called. Disc will go back to McDonough.
It's quite nice to be able to see that the players are utilizing the hand signals very well, especially where there is some sort of language barrier between these teams. Speaking to the Russian team beforehand, they do have some very competent English speakers, but obviously it's not necessarily going to be as easy to communicate as effectively on pitch, especially if it gets a little bit more intense.
I am fluent myself in English, just about.
I was going to question that, to be perfectly honest.
Almost as good as my German.
I mean, we tested this out yesterday. You managed to get a couple of words out, like the word key and castle, which are very similar.
Yeah. Let's see who is the king of the castle here. Is Ireland now up past the brick mark. Some quick movement. There's a deep shot there. And he says goes for the middle to Cleary. Nice offense here from the Irish as they continue their momentum up the field. Oh, and a pop pass goes away. A nice defense from the Russians.
Yeah, that's where they're going to get punished by this wind. We're actually getting a little bit blustered away by our rain-protected bin bag, which is over the desk, and as we're seeing again, the disc just kind of sits in this wind a lot more than some of the players may anticipate.
Gilmanov goes down line. Bevza. Russia looking to get their first break of the game. And it's a massive hammer. This one's going to float. Jack McNamara gets up big. Yeah, in that game earlier today, I think Jack McNamara was a standout for Ireland, as was Cole Keffer for the Canadian side. Two scrum halves that played rugby. Jack McNamara is as wide as he is tall. Very athletic man. Oh, and a drop pass from Ireland. That was their demise in the game against Russia, and that is a break for the Russians. Gliskov with the goal.
That's just unfortunate error. Quite a simple drop. It happens to the best of people. It's really tough when you're out in these conditions sometimes, and you're under pressure. You're wanting to move the disc up a lot faster than you want to, and it's just, yeah, Russia completely capitalized on that.
Oh, it's James Doherty there. The man originally from Donegal. Can't say is it too strong of a Donegal accent. It's definitely Gaelic football country up there.
We spoke to having spoken to the Russian teams beforehand. You can check them out on Instagram if you want any more like little tidbits of information. So like the club teams that they play for, their handle is under24_, all lowercase.
It's a good handle. They got a good one there.
It's nice and simple, nice and simple. And you can see they've got some player cards. It's almost like top trumps. Russian under-24 top trumps. You can play along with your friends. Having looked at their Instagram, a lot of these players come from Rampage, the club team in Russia.
Yeah, quite a few on Shadows as well from St. Petersburg. As Ireland isolate Jack Mack downfield. Thinks about shooting deep, it goes for the reset now. Connolly, big fakes. Looking for a reset, getting high in a stall count. Eventually gets it to McDonough, who shoots to the middle. That is Joey Curtis, the engineer, now at the disc. And now a shot, a blade from Sam Murphy, and Doherty holds on to this one.
They have nice, simple offense. Again, this seems to be the theme with the Irish team. They're not wanting to overcomplicate things. They're doing what they do best, and that should work for them for the rest of the week.
Sam Murphy, one of the captains of this Irish team, now living in San Francisco. Played with he just started playing with club team Battery, which has surprised him throughout for Revolver. I think he thought there wasn't going to be as much turnover in their roster as was, because I think he's one of the best players in Ireland and might have made that team. A lot of new blood in the revolver side this year. The men's club team out of San Francisco. Sam Murphy, got to play with him at Tom's tourney, first time I ever played with him. He's playing with the Crack Addicts, the Irish team, and threw a turnover on Universe Point against Chevron, which I'm not bitter about at all.
You don't sound bitter at all, Liam. I don't know what you're talking about.
Chevron went on to win the tournament. Score now 5-4 to Ireland. We're back on serve after that earlier break from Russia. You see this bit of a different zone defense from Ireland, just kind of sagging in the lanes. Want to stop that deep game from Russia. Again, they push Russia back. Russia happy to throw the disc inside their own end zone. Oh, and a turn, a great block from Colin White. And a quick goal from Ireland.
They seem to have warmed up their throws throughout this game. They've gotten used to the wind. And yeah, they're just riding this wave of offense.
Yeah, great defensive play from Colin White. Eligible for this Irish team, thanks to his grandparents who are from Derry in Northern Ireland. So I'd imagine he's eligible for Great Britain as well.
Yeah, I was wondering about that as well, because there have been in the past Northern Irish players playing for Ireland, but would they also then be eligible for GB? So they just basically get a choice?
Yeah, obviously Colin White picking the better choice there, the correct choice. I do believe there is a Northern Irishman on the GB men's team. Finn, I believe his name is.
Potentially. I'm not entirely clued up.
I'm certain there's a Northern Irishman on the team. But I'm not exactly sure it is. But yeah, I'm glad Colin White has signed up for Ireland. Yeah, if you're from Northern Ireland, you're entitled to a British passport as well, for the time being. Yeah, have you ever watched Dairy Girls, hit Irish TV show? I asked Colin had he watched it. He has not watched it yet, but a fantastic show. As the Russians have put on a show of their own. And you see Ireland are trying to stop Yudkovic from getting that flick hook off. Sagging the lane, now he gets the big hammer over the top when it bounces out of the hands. So, Shaney McNamara, the man from the Banner County, throws a high swing pass. Plenty of high swing passes from Ireland here. Will they keep possession? Shanahan. Back to Leahy. Now Callahan. One of the more experienced players on this Irish men's U24 team.
Russia's defense suffocating any sort of cuts coming under, with Semenov standing in the lane just trying to poach off anything. Ireland have been pretty stagnant to start off with, but they're beginning to actually gain some yards now.
Yeah, now it's Juice Peters, Shaney Mack, and a quick classic end zone offense is tipped by Russia. Brilliant defensive play from Ilya Yudkovic, can do it on defense and offense.
Incredibly intelligent defense there. That's the kind of thing that, again, you can only learn from experience. He knew what the Irish player wanted and just got right in the way.
Yeah, that's my Capri-Sun play of the game so far. As you see, another big crossfield hammer. That one a little too far.
Just to clarify, we are not sponsored by Capri-Sun. Although we would not turn down any Capri-Suns right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just a bit of sun at all, as it's quite overcast here in Heidelberg. I think I'm happy with that. It was hard to deal with the heat in Hungary last week. Definitely a lot cooler here. As this Irish D-line look to try and get a break with some cool, calm, collective. Oh, a nice skip and a jump from Shaney McNamara gets his first goal of the game. A Clare man, but hangs around Limerick City quite a lot. A good hurler as well.
Yeah, they seem to be a fan of their high release flicks on this Irish team. It's a beautiful type of throw to watch, and it brings a lot of spice to the game, especially having seen some beautiful hammers from the Russian side.
As we see that give go, kind of three people isolated in front of the sack to try and score the goal, and Shaney Mack does just that. Shaney Mack, another one of the former Pelt players, was on the Universe point line against Ranelagh last season. And that was really when it came to fruition that he's one of the top players in Ireland. I was standing there with some other players wondering who's going to call the line, and Shaney Mack goes, "I'm going on the field." And we agreed with that. We admired his confidence, played a good Universe point for a Pelt. Might find himself doing the same thing for Ranelagh. Next year he's now moved to Dublin. As the timeout's called, Ireland looking to break for half here.
I'm just having a quick browse through the Russian Instagram, and Alexander Semenov. A fun fact about him, he's the co-founder of a plastic recycling project, which I think is a very interesting fact.
Yeah, the man plays with club team Aurora. Definitely one of the standouts on this Russian team. They need to score this 0 point going downwind to stay in touching distance of Ireland. Yeah, I do like the Russian Instagram account. It does look like it's a top trumps game, doesn't it?
So this Russian team, in preparation for the tournament, have had a few training camps together, primarily taking place in St. Petersburg. It's where a fair few of these players have come from as well. A lot of these players are playing for Aurora or other club teams that are based in St. Petersburg.
As we see Jen Kwan giving the orders, head coach of this Irish team. I kind of said to her in a passing comment earlier on that she's the most decorated player in Irish Ultimate, and she responded with, "I know." Has done a lot to contribute to the sport in our nation. Also president currently of the Irish Flying Disc Association. Now it's the Russians going downwind. A lot of zone this game, seen very little match defense from either team. Lots of short poppy passes. There you see the overhead from Jurkovic. Seems to be the only man with the keys to unlock this zone defense for the moment for Ireland. Faking, popping, a lot of weaving. And then we see another scuba again. Jurkovic. The man who's played with Dig before, reminds me of Mac Hecht, who you might see with the US men's team, known for those incredibly accurate overheads. And you can hear the Irish coaches saying, trying to keep it away from 25. Jurkovic. He's pretty much holding the upside down grip and sends another scuba. I don't know how many scubas you threw at that point, but I enjoyed every single one of them, Gigi.
Yeah, you can replay that point and count the amount of times that Jurkovic was holding the disc upside down ready for that scuba. He knows exactly how to break this zone. He's utilizing the wind to his advantage rather than thinking that it's a threat. And that's something that is so important when it comes to playing against a zone in blustery conditions. You need to be able to play intelligently rather than think, right, I need to avoid difficult throws. I need to avoid throwing through people. No, you break the zone, you go over the top of the zone, you try and use the wind rather than battle it. So that's some intelligent play from the Russian team.
Yeah, I'd like to see Ireland maybe doing some kind of a assassin zone or adjusting it to take him out of the game, because Jurkovic seems to have every throw in his arsenal.
So the Russians pulling upwind now. Curling in just after the brick mark. Coming down a match.
Ireland looking to take half with a deep shot. Sam Murphy just outside the end zone. And they take half with Andrew Cleary. Great quick offense from the Irish. So they take half 8-5. Russia still within touching distance. Shout out to Jurkovic's mother, Irina. I was wondering if she's back in Boston, but no, she's here, checking on the sideline. So I think unlikely she's watching it on her phone, maybe, as I was earlier. But he wanted to shout out his mother anyway, doing her proud here in Heidelberg.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the story of this first half so far is that Russia are not to be underestimated, and the Irish do not want to overcomplicate things, and that's exactly what both sides are wanting to do best. It's going to be another exciting second half of this game.
Yeah, we'll be back in a moment, folks, with halftime. But Liam Grant and Gigi Morrison are going to take a quick breather here. We'll be back in just a moment's time. Welcome back, folks, to the World Under-24 Championships here in Heidelberg. Liam Grant alongside Gigi Morrison. Gigi, I have a quiz question for you.
Go for it.
How many time zones does Russia have?
I want to say 5.
It's not 5. I'll give
Is
you.
it close?
It's more than 5.
7.
More.
8.
More.
9.
More.
I'm going to keep going. No, surely not.
Russia has 11 time zones.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
That is one fun fact.
Yeah, they used to have 9. Add an extra 2 there just for the lols. How many time zones does China have?
I'm gonna go back with my original answer. 5.
Lower.
2. 1. Yes.
It is 1.
I knew that. I don't know why I said 5 in the first place.
Yeah, I'm going to China next week after this, so be easy to set my watch to Chinese time.
And you know what the viewers can do? They can follow your trip along on Instagram. What's your Instagram, Liam?
At Liam Granty, so Liam Grant with a Y at the end. And they can follow you working out in the gym, Gigi?
Oh yeah, always. My Twitter and Instagram are both the same handle, so it's _GG17, GG being spelled GEEGEE, because I'm annoying.
So, score now 8-5 to the Irish, but Russia going down with an offense. They'll be hoping to bang this one in. Again, it's the same 3 handlers for Russia. Kelsev fakes the deep shot, as does Yudkovic. Gets the high release flick off. That a beautiful shot. Smirnov. Back to Yudkovic, who's most definitely had the most touches on the disc for this Russian side. So now they move the disc. Resnick, one of the Shadows players from St. Petersburg. Oh, a high swinging pass. It's gathered up by Russia. Now the inside throw is there, and he does not execute it well. And that goes into the turf and a break opportunity for the Irish.
I think the Russian player just got a little bit too much in his own head. He knew the receiver was wide open. He could very easily get into that shot. And that disc gained a little bit too much turf.
Colin White sends it straight away. I think it was a good idea, but as the Russians did, not executing their throws as well as they'd like. We have Yudkovic getting low. See if he brings out that high release flick again, gets the easy swing late in the stall count. The Russians trying to grind out those unders. A lot of pressure coming from the Irish, but they're still grinding it out. Nesterov. The Russians stack very deep at times, not really allowing those legitimate deep options. Good switching from the handler marks of Ireland. If one player goes up line, they switch, killing that forward momentum for the Russians, but they now get the big swing off. The Kelsev, who seems to be being forced under by Callahan. Yudkovic. A lot of passes so far for this team. Now they jack it deep. Ronan Callahan goes up early, gets a great defensive play.
That was incredibly intelligent defense. He wanted to drag the Russian player under, like way too early. Completely misread the disc and generated a turnover. Yeah.
I think that throw was almost from frustration from Yudkovic. Never had a lot of options downfield. And Ireland get the big swing off to the upwind side of the field. Now it's Shaney Mack. We were admiring his mustache. Nice soup strainer during halftime, but that throw, not as nice as his mustache. So Russia have the disc back. Ireland had 2 break opportunities. There we see Colin White come flying through. A foul is called. Gonna have a little chat about this one.
There was a lot of contact on that play. But they're probably just discussing whether there was any opportunity for the offensive player to be able to actually reach the disc, whether the defensive player got to the disc before it actually impacted any sort of contact. Very interesting discussion going on. And these games do have game advisors. So compared to the US, where they have game observers, the game advisors can provide some more background on the rules. They can't, their opinion isn't final, essentially. They can just give a little bit of extra help. But in the US, obviously, the game observers have a final opinion.
Colin White wearing one of those 5-panel hats that have become very trendy now. Gigi Morrison.
I'm not necessarily a fan. I think it suits some people, but I don't have the head for a 5-panel hat. I have a very small head. Wouldn't fit.
I think I'm on the other end of the scale there when it comes to hats.
I do not disagree with you.
Both metaphorically and physically quite a big head. As the turnover stands, good spirit from the Russians. In the men's division at the European Ultimate Championships. I see a deep shot coming there. Not sure if that was the intended receiver. Callan reels that one in. Looks like there's a call, a pick being called. Did seem like one player was absolutely free. Yeah, I was saying at European Ultimate Championships in the spirit and the men's division, Ireland finishing last.
That is quite surprising, considering
Russia finishing second last.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was more surprised about the Irish result, especially considering teams like Pelt, who went to EUCF in 2016, they won Spirit, and they were so happy about it.
Yeah, Ireland actually won Spirit at EUC 2015 in the men's division, and then went all the way to the other side of the bracket and lost Spirit in the men's division. I think if you're not going to win Spirit, you might as well lose it, you know? I'm joking.
Very questionable.
So this coming back in for the Irish. Hopeful throw out to the break side, maxed by Shane McNamara. But he has the disc back again now. Wearing a more traditional cap. Oh, and to see that disc go out the far sideline has been forced backhand. The Russians trying to force the disc to that downwind side of the field.
The wind giveth and the wind taketh away.
So still no score here in the second half. Very long point. And there is a stray hat on the field, as that stray disc gathered by the Russians on the second attempt. And they look with the fire deep. Not sure anyone was going. Ronan Callahan again sweeping up the trash.
Semenov has been a very impressive player so far in this game. Just reading the disc really well, making sure to get back on that. And wanting that deep shot, he just wants to get it away from the Irish end zone line.
Yeah, Ronan Callahan a standout as they look to go deep to Ireland. That a beautiful shot. And it's been called goal. Looked like a goal to me. Obviously me being very biased. So Ireland parked outside the end zone, looking to pop it to Shane McNamara, who jumps into the end zone. That one I'm less sure about, you know that, Gigi? We'll see if we get a shot of both those two goals as we see some French fries storming the field.
I feel a bit more certain about that second one in comparison to the first.
Yeah, quite a chippy point, that one.
Oh, goodness me.
Do enjoy the inflatables being brought to the field.
There have been a lot of inflatables. Again, we saw in the Australia-New Zealand game, they had inflatable kiwis. The kiwis named Flower Pot, all of them, not just one. And the Australian team having an inflatable kangaroo called Skippy.
Yeah, so talking about Ronan Callahan, has the second biggest Beyblade collection in Ireland, so I've heard.
But do you want to know who has the biggest Beyblade collection in Ireland.
Please tell me, Gigi.
Drum roll, please. It's Paul McDonough. They're on the same team.
They are on the same team, and a master of the blade themselves in the game of Ultimate. Play a lot of indoors, those lads. As Ireland break out of half. Another fantastic pull.
Yeah, that pull just rolling out the back. As we know that if a pull lands within bounds on the pitch, rolls out either the back or the side of the end zone, then it can be taken from the front end zone line where it had rolled out.
Yeah, I think for a D-line, any pull like that is an achievement. It allows your defense to get down there easily and set up the mark. As Russia, again, as it has so much times this game, throwing it around their own end zone. Ireland getting a Callahan against Canada this morning. But Russia worked their way out. Gilmanov. Upfield to Bevza. Now just swinging around the house. And Ty Bogan runs with the easy undercut there, looking to keep momentum going. Corcoran puts out the space, and that is another break for Ireland, 2 in a row. This break train is rolling now.
They are another errant shot where the Irish defense had read, again, very intelligently, a nice run through D. They had a very poachy setup. And the Russian, the intended target of Dobrovitsky, just couldn't get quite to it. They couldn't work it through that poachy defense.
Yeah, Ty Bogan Kerry, known for his athleticism. Definitely the biggest unit on this Irish team. We see the celebration here. I think it's the Balotelli coming back into trend. The Italian men also in this group. Just lost a tight game to Canada. One of my favorites to win this division, but without Gasparini, one of their top players on the sideline. Don't know if he'll participate at all at this event. That is a big blow for them.
Yeah, certainly was. That Italian team is still very similar to the one that competed in Perth last year at under-24s that got the silver medal against the US. But without Gasparini, they are just missing that little bit of extra depth that they need to beat teams like Canada, especially under highly intense games.
So now a side stack from the Russians, looking to mix it up a little bit. Thinking about the deep shot. Ireland out with a match defense as well, playing honest. Bevza. Nice big undergainer from Kelsev. Working up that far sideline in a tight space. Now they get the around swing. Better offense from the Russians. Oh, put out the space and it falls on the ground. And all of a sudden Ireland are up 10-5 with a chance to break. And to McNamara. Gets a nice under from Peters. Nice sticky hands from Shanahan. Goes to McNamara, has the deep shot. Goes for the under instead. Patient here from the Irish. Leahy. Tight little channel, but finds the gap, and that's a great goal. Dennis Galvin.
That was a beautiful inside shot, but that has been a call. I believe it has been a travel. They're requiring a translator for this call here, but it's an uncontested travel.
Yeah, it was a nice shot to Galvin in the end zone. The goal will not count, but good play nonetheless. So back with Shaney, soup strainer McNamara. Is there any traditional German soups I should be checking out here in Germany?
Linsensuppe, so lentil soup. It's really nice. You often get it with Spätzle in it, which is like a type of pasta dumpling thing, but if not, beer. Does that count as soup?
I think it does in Germany, one of the staples for any German meal.
One common thing between the Germans and the Irish is that we love our beer.
Again, the resets from Russia have been very good, but they just struggle to move the disc downfield at times. See again, the Russian player is so far away from the disc at times. See the stack very, very far away. Interesting Mac as he attempts to catch the disc, and again the Russians keeping possession but then just getting frustrated and turning over. Their offense is not clicking at the moment.
Yeah, their offense is not coming under enough. As you said, that the stack is pretty deep. They are wanting to isolate their main handlers in Semenov and Jurkovic, but it's not being effective, especially when this Irish defense is forcing them under.
Beautiful fake by Dean, who then puts it to the end zone. A great goal by Peter Shanahan. As you see the bag of chips make its way into the crowd. Actually, no, in the rules, WFDF rules recently, they pointed out they actually don't want these kind of inflatables or even specified pool noodles being brought to the fields at times. I think it was Molly Brown who earned themselves a specific rule. What do you make, Gigi, of these kind of inflatables or mascots and things being brought onto the field?
They're not harming anyone. They're just a little bit of fun. It's not like they're playing with them on the pitch. They're not too close to the sideline. They're still well outside of the 3-meter boundaries. If anything, I enjoy them a lot, especially when you give them names. I'm not sure if you can give a bag of chips a name, unless you call it Chippy.
I think Chippy was the obvious name I was going to
Yeah.
suggest there.
Yeah. We've got some spike ball going on the sidelines as well. It's being enjoyed by the Universe Point Cleats tent.
Yeah, shout out to Universe Point Cleats and also VC for providing us with our media jerseys. Main sponsor of this event. So now Russia with a bit of a mountain to climb. Going upward now and again, the Russians able to get those resets. The struggle to gain yards upfield. Now getting some yards. Kovatsky.
Russia have seemed to switch up their offense rather than going from a more traditional vert stack, and that hasn't been effective, unfortunately.
A dirty, dirty hand block from Philip Johnston. He's going to have to shower twice after that one.
Just as I was about to say, the Russian offense was working a lot better and getting some undercuts. That beautiful block from the Irish team smacks it all down.
Parked outside the end zone now, an easy goal for Tyg Bogan Carey. See his little bump there at Sam Murphy. I think the Irish enjoying this game a little more than the game earlier against Canada.
I would say so.
Actually, no, Tyg's cousin Robin Bogan. When we were kids, we used to have pints together down the dunes in Lahinch. So very familiar with the Bogan family. Not through the ultimate, but through my other hobbies, let's say. So Ireland in the driver's seat now, 12-5 up against this Russian team. And looking at this group, I think some big battles for Ireland is going to be that Belgium game. Ireland versus the Yonkers brothers. It's going to be a classic. And I also think maybe looking at teams like New Zealand, Belgium, Ireland, maybe vying for that 4th spot. With Australia beating New Zealand, they put them in a good position.
Yeah, they certainly will. The Jonckers brothers are definitely talismanic for that Belgian squad. And it'd be quite interesting to see how other teams, and especially this Irish team, would actually try to counteract that. And again, as you said, potentially going for some sort of assassin defense, trying to shut those taller, lanky legs in particular.
Yeah, the Jonckers, famous across the world and Europe. Vitkovic gets that flick roll curve off, then points for the reset. Has a deep option now, big hammer. It's not going to make it there. Good read by Joey Curtis. Nice inside path, the Irish looking a lot better now. Murphy, throws a vagrant pass to Jack McNamara, who can't get up. So this now back with the Russians. You see some frustration creeping into the Russian game. Resnick. Again, the Russians just happy with the resets. But more shouting downfield than getting legitimate throwing options from their cutters. I think a lot of it is just a case they're very far away from the disc.
Yeah, they seem to have switched back to a more traditional vertical stack and wanting to luzz it back. Seems to be their main tactic, but it's not being effective. As we mentioned earlier on, we spoke to this Irish team and they know that Russia want to huck it. They know they want it deep. And them pushing the Russian cutters under is working beautifully. They're not able to generate any sort of forward momentum. They're only getting lateral and ever so slight forwards with these resets. And they've actually started to try and isolate Jutkovic at the front of the stack in particular to potentially gain some yards, but again, that's not effective.
Connolly with the disc. Back to McDonough. McNamara has had a quiet game so far. And just give going now between the handlers, Ireland. Murphy, nice inside pass to Curtis. Back to Doherty. Murphy wearing some, dare I say, leggings or more popular tighter pants these young kids are into, as Jack McNamara milks that one like a dairy cow into the end zone.
That disc sat out beautifully towards the back of the end zone. I think he might have anticipated to catch it a little bit earlier and the wind blustered it back a bit further. But a great read to get another score to bring it to 13-5.
Have you ever milked a cow, Gigi?
I have not, and I don't intend on doing so.
What about a goat?
I've not milked any sort of mammal.
Mammals generally being the thing you'd milk if you were going to milk something. Yeah, I've milked a cow myself, milked a goat.
I'm not surprised by that. Not surprised.
You are vegan, Gigi?
I am indeed, yes.
So you're not allowed to milk this in the end zone, right? That's true as well. That falls under
I can almond milk it.
Oh, what have we done, Gigi? Where have we gone?
It's been a long day. we've got coffees on the go and it's 4:10 in the afternoon. That's how long of a day it's been. But that doesn't mean that it's not been exciting. We've still got very many more exciting games to go. We've got some great matchups tomorrow. We'll be having some extra pitches running as well for streaming. What matchups are you looking forward to over the next few days?
I believe on Wednesday we're streaming Australia versus Italy, which I think will be an important game in this group.
In the men's division?
In the men's division. I believe tomorrow we're also streaming Japan women's, which I'm excited to see.
You'll be streaming much more women's and mixed games over the next few days. Just the way that the lone streaming pitch and the way that the pitches have been set up in terms of north and south split, we've had to not essentially prioritize, but it's just the way that this has worked out. We do have some more women's and mixed games coming up, so you'll have to keep up with the fancy streams coming over the next few days. And you can keep in contact with all of our commentator crew, all of our media staff, so you can keep up with Ulti TV on Instagram, or you can keep up with our commentators on Twitter and Instagram, respectively, as well, as we go into this next point.
Yeah, Russia yet to score out of half. Ireland defense has adjusted well to slow down the Russian squad. You see Brodsky, one of the players from St. Petersburg. Now moving across the field to Zaykhanov. And it's a turnover, and White looks to lash it deep straight away, and why not? This one not coming out the way he intended. That was Rory Kyo, aka Birdman, trying to chase down that disc. Had an opportunity to make a big layout in the game against Canada earlier, but did not leave his feet. Don't know what kind of bird they're comparing him to.
A flightless bird.
The dodo, maybe? Is that his new
kiwi.
nickname?
You wouldn't want to say dodo, they are very much extinct.
Yeah, he's very much alive and kicking for this Irish D-line. I think a pick is being called. So disc will go back to Rovitsky. Been playing Ultimate, I think, for 2 years now. I think more than anything, this is about building experience for the Russian men's team. Their first outing at this event. Oh, and the Irish defense smothering the Russians. Duty with the disc now. Tig, Logan Carey. Back to White. Oh, who fumbles it but gets it on the second attempt. As you see Ireland trying to isolate three people, but it is Birdman. Roy Kyo gets the goal. Looks like it's going to go back for a pick.
Yeah, he was suspiciously free towards the front of the end zone, but they did have their pick of receivers towards the front.
Johnston now. He's had a cracking game so far. Duty with the big fakes. He's trying to weave up line. It's put in space. It's going to be intercepted by Russia, and it is. Great read on the front of the stack. Bevza, who goes deep straight away. Now we see the deep shot from Russia. This one's going to hang up as it goes upwind. It's a 2-on-2 matchup, and Ireland gets the defensive play. Looks like a foul might be called. Looks like Corcoran came from around the back and maybe initiated some contact, but they're going to discuss this one.
Yeah, that shot being a fair bit loftier than maybe the thrower actually wanted to. Just having a quick discussion. Getting some game advisors and potentially some translators involved as well.
So, Gigi, have you ever represented Great Britain at this level?
I have, yeah. So I represented GB mixed under 24s in Perth last year. It was a lot of fun. Very hot.
Did you get to play the... Oh, there wasn't an Irish mixed team there, unfortunately.
No, there wasn't.
I was going to ask you, did you play them?
No.
There was no Russian team either. How did you guys finish up in Perth?
We finished 7th, which For the most part, we were very happy with how the week went, but the result itself, we feel like we could have potentially finished higher. We had a very tough quarterfinal match against Australia, and that didn't go to our favor, but...
Deep shot now from Russia. This one looks like it's going to be a clean D this time, so Ireland do get it back. Yeah, I always think the host nation tends to, I wouldn't say overperform, but maybe benefits from having it in their own country. So Australia doing incredibly well in all divisions. As we saw in the opening game yesterday, Germany dominant performance against the Belgian women, who I believe we'll be seeing later today.
Yep, it's going to be Belgium versus New Zealand on the stream. It's going to be covered by Hannah Pendlebury and Benjamin Rees.
Bogan Carey, I think that's the second turnover of the game. A little disappointed himself. He's a good man at getting it back. Now a shot to the end zone from Russia. That one's going to work out, and it's a bookends for Bevza.
Not the intended receiver, but it works out nicely. That's brought the score to 13-6. Ireland is still only within 2 of winning this game. But they seem to be rushing things a little bit more than maybe they want to.
Yeah, that's Russia's first goal in this second half. Population of Russia, I think, is around 148 million. 9th biggest population on planet Earth. Ireland, 4.65 million, so a bit of difference there in populations, but they have the most goals on the scoreboard, and that's the number that matters.
You're a big fan of knowing populations of different places.
I'm pretty good at it.
Okay. I'm trying to think of how to catch you out of this.
Well, you're going to need to know the answer to the questions you're going to ask me, Gigi, which
There's
is...
Google. There's always Google.
Okay. I think most people know the top 3 populations on the planet. What's the 4th largest population?
You're asking me this?
I'm asking you this, yeah.
Oh, God. I honestly have no idea.
I think it's Indonesia.
If somebody could fact check that and tweet me the answer, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Russia is the 9th largest population. Ireland a lot further down the list. And this shot to the end zone is well reeled in. Put on the jet boosters towards the end of that cut. Joey Curtis showing his speed.
He's absolutely earned his dinner tonight. That was so speedy. He ran past us, grinding so hard to chase down that disc. It looked like it was going to soar a little bit too far, but thankfully he did not give up on that. And he managed to earn the score to bring Ireland within 1 of winning this game.
Yeah, that man had his Capri Suns this morning. And that a rifle of a shot. Jack McNamara. You see his hood sailing behind him, not slowing him down. So I believe now game point to the Irish. They can end it here if they get a break.
12 gauge.
So this Russian team themselves, they don't have any players here this week that represented Russia at EUC previously in Hungary. There are a fair few Irish players here that did represent at EUC.
Yeah, I believe Andrew Cleary, Jack McNamara on that squad. I think Sam Murphy was supposed to be, but since moving to the US, I think declined his spot. Now a deep shot from Russia. They have space. Much better from the Russians this time. Tries to jump it into the end zone, but is just on the doorstep. And an easy goal for Russia. Much better offense. They're still kicking in this game. Score now 14-7. Ireland will have a chance to end it here with this possession.
Yeah, Russia playing to their strengths and looking for that deep shot to start off with. That seems to be what they've trained a lot, trying to get it deep, and then if they're just short of the end zone, running some sort of isolation end zone set to get the easy score. So it's Dobrowiecki just outside the end zone, receiving the huck, centering it back to Jutkovic, a name that we've said so many times already in this game.
He's definitely been the anchor of the Russian offense, but he's not on the field now. It'll be up to the likes of Bevza to try and get a break here. The man who's going to pull for Russia. He's had a great game so far. Goes for the more floaty pull. So Ireland coming out of vertical stack, but it's a zone defense from the Russians. Nice shot to middle to clear. He was got safe hands. Really a breakout player for Ireland this year, stepping up to senior level and playing on that Irish men's senior O-line. Cleary. Jack McNamara. He's going to shoot again. That's the same shot we saw last point, and this could be the game-winning goal, and it's an easy one for Ireland. They get their first win of the tournament. Russia keep on searching for their first win, but commiserations to them. Good performance by Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland doing really well and just working the disc. There is some frustration from this Russian side, but Ireland were just a lot cleaner on offense. They were able to convert whenever they needed to. There were admittedly some longer points, some turnovers that came from both sides, and there were some beautiful shots that came out of this Russian side. They need to play to their strengths a lot more. They need to just adjust some of their offense to actually try and move the disc under, trust each other, use each other. And they should get better throughout the tournament as it keeps going.
Yeah, congratulations to Ireland. Kind of running away with it in the second half, only allowing Russia 2 points after half-time. Liam Grant alongside Gigi Morrison. We'll leave it there, folks. Thanks very much for tuning in. Lots of great Ultimate to come during the week, so stay tuned to Fanseed.